You're welcome back to the show. Now we're discussing the Bawku crisis, and the network of women mediators in Ghana, an affiliate of the women mediators across the Commonwealth and the Global Alliance of Women Mediators Network, is worried about the duration of the Bawku conflict. Now the group is concerned that the recent happenings threaten to further exacerbate the existing tensions in the community. Theodora Williams NC is a convener of the group, and she joins me via Zoom. Good morning, Mrs. Williams Auntie, and thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, and thank you for having us.
All right, now let's talk about the network of women mediators in Ghana and what exactly you guys do if someone is unfamiliar with your work.
Great, thank you. So we are a network or a group of women mediators, trained and professional mediators. Most of these women, or most of us, are members of the National Peace Council at the national level and also at the regional level. So most of us serve on the National Peace Councils as well. And some of us are also professional female mediators, if you like. So we are into ADR, that is alternative dispute resolution, and also conflict mediation in general.
All right, now let's go into your press statement and the whole Bawku conflict. You write that it is quite clear that the conflict has taken a downward trend with much more complexities than before. And we have noted that the people, especially the parties in the conflict, are beginning to lose trust in the current response mechanisms. We'll start with the downward trend. Why are you only responding to this now, or why are you trying to get involved in the Bawku conflict now?
We have always been involved one way or the other. Like I said earlier, some of us are in the regional peace councils. So we have members in the Upper East Regional Peace Council. We have members on the National Peace Council. So we have always been involved. We have some of us working in CSOs who are working on this conflict. So we have always been involved. And our interest now is, when we say downward trend, we have taken note of all the tensions, all the happenings. As a mediation network, we are not so much interested in the merits and demerits of who is right or who is wrong, but we are very much interested in the process. And of course, as women, we are also interested in the outcomes of the process and its implication on our nation as a whole. And so we are noting, and I said we have always been involved, so we are aware of where things are getting to. And we are noting that if things don't change, if we don't nationalize this issue of the Bawku conflict, if we don't treat it as a national matter and call for a political discourse around this matter and continue to treat it as a communal conflict, things will get out of hand and Ghana itself will be in trouble. We are also very worried because we know that we have violent extremism and terrorist attacks just the next border in Burkina Faso, and we are very worried about spillovers. And we know that these extremists take advantage of vulnerable communities, and we are deepening the vulnerability of the Bawku area. And so our concern is that people and the parties are losing trust in the process so far. And we have to take this to another level, which is a national level. And we have seen examples of national level ADR processes or mediation processes that has brought some peace to the Dagbon area. All we are calling for is that the lessons learned in those ones should be applied to this as well.
Okay, so when you talk about those lessons, can you share some of those lessons you think that we could implement or learn and put forward to the Bawku conflict?
Yes, so we saw how an eminent group of chiefs led by the Asantehene was brought together, commissioned by the president of the land to handle the Dagbon issue. We think same should be done to the Bawku. I mean, we've always had a narrative of what has been done in the Bawku case. It's gone to court. There is a ruling on it, so let's leave it like that. As we can see, we cannot leave things like that.
Yeah.
Those processes are failing.
All right. So
those processes are failing.
Yeah, I can hear you.
And we need to give. Sure, sorry. Those processes are failing and we need to give it a national attention. And also getting the people involved in the process. In the Dagbon case, we had eminent citizens of Dagbon coming together, working with the eminent committee, working with the chiefs, working with the states to resolve this. And we need the same approach or even better.
Okay, so we can get people involved, eminent people involved. What are some of the other alternative conflict resolutions you would suggest as, network of women mediators in Ghana?
So this is the one we are suggesting now as a group that this takes a political dialogue. This takes a national dialogue process and not to be left to communal dialogue processes. And I think for now, that's what we want to stand by. We want to call on the president. We want to call on the president of Ghana to make this a national issue. We want to call on the Ministry of Interior to make this a national issue. We want to call on all these powers that be. Let's have an eminent chief, a committee of eminent chief, just like we had in Dagbon. Let's have that process. Let's have that process to go into the Bawku issue. That process is very likely to bring us some respite and some peace. Women are suffering. We have taken note of how women and children are suffering in these conflicts. Of course, men are also suffering, but in every conflict, women and children suffer more. And we see the development in a business basking area like Bawku that is going down, down, down. And we see the vulnerability that this conflict is creating in the area. And we cannot sit and must not sit as a nation to let Bawku bring the whole nation down. So we call on the president to put together a group of eminent chiefs to solve this problem.
Okay, and I hear all your suggestions, having a national dialogue, calling the president, to put together some eminent chiefs, getting the actual people involved. But what is your group doing right now on the ground? Is there anything that you're doing on the ground as this is happening?
This is one of the things we are doing. We are putting together a petition to the president. We are putting together a petition to the Interior Ministry and to all the National Peace Council and to all the powers that be. On the ground, we have members on the ground, but because also of the very volatile nature, we are just speaking to women and we are trying to lie low for now until things are a bit settled, because we cannot also afford to put lives of our people in danger. So we just consulting stakeholders for now. Okay. But now we need to take it to the national level.
Okay. So, I mean, being a women's only network, and we know that women and children are the ones that are suffering the most, and because they're the most vulnerable, how are you empowering the women in Bawku so that, with everything that is happening, at least they've got, some sort of empowerment or some sort of role in helping this conflict come to an end?
Our women actually are ready to go out on the streets and march and call for a national dialogue and call for peace and sustainability in the area. We have just said let's lie low, let this take, because the place is very volatile as it stands, and we can't afford to put their lives in danger.
Yeah.
We can't afford to show faces where people will be attacked. So we are talking to our women. We had a virtual meeting just 2 days ago that came up with this statement, and we are encouraging them to talk to their men, but we are lying low for now not to put their lives in danger.
Okay. So have you sent your petition to the president?
Not yet, but maybe by the end of today, tomorrow, that will be sent.
Okay. And obviously you hope that something will come out of that, some national dialogue, some sort of, chiefs coming together to go to Bawku, speak to the people of Bawku, right?
Very much so.
Okay, and then any last thoughts from you in regards to this Bawku conflict and what you guys are doing?
So we have been saying that Bawku is an age-old conflict, is an 800-year-old conflict. how many years old conflict. It's intractable and all kinds of, but it can be solved. We believe as women mediators that Bawku conflict can be managed, Bawku conflict can be resolved. We just need to dialogue. Let me also call that we should not use force. We should not use force in trying to, because of the tensions involved, the youth and all those things. We have to desist from using force in trying to resolve the dialogue is the way forward if we want peace. We understand the government. We understand that sometimes you want to apply the cane and not the carrots. We understand that sometimes you want to show that, yes, you are government in power and there's nobody above the law. But in this circumstance and the kind of tensions that we have, when we use force, the people and the young people, as we have seen in the last 2 days, will respond with force and will not get us anywhere. So we are calling for dialogue, nothing more than dialogue in this process. And we are also calling, as we have said many times, that we need an eminent committee or eminent chiefs committee or a commission to go into this conflict. It can be done. Women are suffering, children are suffering, and the whole Bawku community is suffering. And we know that when we say Bawku Upper East region, we have many people from Upper East region scattered all over the country, supporting all parties and supporting all factions. And so if this conflict should spread and go out of hand, we will not have peace in Ghana. And the vulnerability that is being deepened for violent extremism and terrorists is a great concern. And so we are calling that government, the president, and all the powers that be take a national look at this Bawku conflict. Let's not treat it as a communal conflict. Let's not just rest because it has gone to court and there is a ruling. We cannot rest on that decision alone. More must be done. And dialogue is the way forward.
Mrs. Theodora Williams-Anti, thank you so much for your time. And she's the convener of the network of women mediators in Ghana. And they are calling for all parties to the conflict to cease fire, and also calling for the president to gather some eminent chiefs so that they can have a dialogue. She's calling for a national look at this. And she's also asking the media to be circumspect in their reportage, as certain reportage only stirs emotions for parties in conflict to stick to their positions rather than listen to alternative situations and other ways. All right, so we'll be following that Bawku conflict also on Joy News Desk. There'll be more on that. But